Hello, Barendipitous here with another video for the Board Game Shelf. Talking about really tiny games, this game is literally just one dice, and that's it. And of course, we have these instructions. This is called Hipster Dice. And I've never really played this game. I don't know if I ever will play this game. There was this one time in college where like I was perusing a local board game store and I just saw this tiny game with just instructions and dice, and also it was made by the same publisher as Munchkin. And I was being a big fan of Munchkin. I'm like, you know what? I'll check this out. This seems fun. Essentially, it's called Hipster Dice because the idea is that you roll the dice, and whichever one it lands on. So each of these symbols represents something here. It represents a category. So this little letter A means literature. And so what you try to do is you try to name something that you try to come up with something that's obscure that's related to this category. But whatever you name doesn't actually have to be true. It doesn't have to be real. What you're trying to do is you're trying to sort of make everyone else believe that what you're talking about is true. And then the idea is that like a hipster is someone who kind of like oh, you don't know about this really obscure film or this obscure little coffee shop or whatever. It's like the best thing ever, and people just don't quite appreciate it. It's just not mainstream. It's cool, you know. That's the sort of like hipster vibe that I think they're going for here. And this is essentially a bluffing game. Like for example, if I got this, and this is about literature, right? I could say something like, you know, have you heard about that? Have you heard about that? This really old book that is all about like it's all about this guy that came to America in like the 1920s, and he wanted to be like a boxing champion, but then he kind of he kept losing all the time until he finally meets this landlord who was harping on him about rent and everything like that, and so the boxer just kind of like agrees to work for the landlord, and there's like this sort of like this weird like little buddy comedy kind of a thing going on. I just made that up just randomly on the spot. I could also come up with a title for it, I could call it. Let's see. I said it was from like the night. I said it was an old book, right? I'll say written in the 1950s. Say it was called The Slugger or something like that. I don't know. Just make something up like that, and someone can call my bluff and call me a poser and stuff like that. And yeah, that's actually, you know what? Here, I'll read this. So I explained like you're trying to come up with something. It doesn't have to be true. But yeah, you can't take forever coming up with something. If your turn lasts longer than it takes for the current indie track that's playing on your record player to finish, forfeit your turn. Or if 58 seconds pass, whichever comes first. You can pass your turn if you want to, but the other players are within their rights to mock you for it, and you won't get any hipster cred. Also, if you say something and everyone has heard of it, yeah, nice try. Forfeit your turn, and then think about how cool and sophisticated everyone actually playing the game is. Any other player then has the opportunity to call you a poser by pointing, sneering, or saying poser or whatever, because following instructions precisely makes you mainstream. If multiple people challenge you, only the first one to do so counts. Everyone else is just an imitator. If someone calls you a poser, they're saying you've made it up. You now have 2 minutes to go to the net and prove the claim is completely true. Your friends keep time. They can allow more time if you have a slow connection, or you can find a place with better net access. If you show proof of your claim, you get 2 hipster cred from the center. Make the challenger pass the tokens over to you. Oh yeah, I guess there's something about tokens or whatever. You could use coins, but that's mainstream. We used mustache combs and coffee stirrers. Now you have to find something hipper than that, or waive off our pretension and use coins. Whatever, put them all in the middle of the table. You're trying to collect coins by sort of like bluffing your way around and stuff like that. That's basically it. It's just this silly random little game. The categories are, let's see, we have the treble clef. This is music. Let's see, we have coffee mug. This is like drinks, essentially. The letter A I mentioned with literature. Mustache is fashion that isn't too commercial. So movie camera, movies your friends probably haven't seen. And then cheese wedge, food that's organic and locally sourced or otherwise out of the mainstream and the places you find it. So yeah, this game was made and it was published in 2014. And hipster is probably kind of a bit of an older term now. It probably doesn't make that much sense to a lot of people at this point. I would have classified one of my siblings as a hipster once upon a time, and I definitely thought of her when I first bought this game. But yeah, another thing is obscure rules. You don't have to play hipster dice like this. We have a bunch of alternative ways to play it at hipsterdice.sjgames.com. So, and I actually haven't looked at that. So there's that too. Winning. The game ends when one person has 5 or more hipster cred. Whoever has the most at that point wins. You can gloat a little, but lording it over others makes you a tool of the establishment. So it's just a silly, goofy little random thing. And because I've never cared that much about like what's mainstream and what's not, usually. My wife doesn't either, but it's just a fun, random little thing that I just like having. It's silly and it's fun. So, and I just kind of hold it in this little Tupperware container because why not? I guess technically I could put it in this bank thing right here if I wanted to. I'll think about that. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And until next time, all the best.